We also have opacity, and this is the actual how transparent the form is. So 100% here, opaque, means that it's of course 100% visible. If we change this to 50, you can see right now you can't really see it in the design environment, but if we hit run, we should have 50% transparency, and you can barely see it here above all the other ones. Right? Pretty neat little feature there. So I'll show you how to implement that at design time, or excuse me, at run time, so we can give the user control over how transparent their form is. Let's turn that back to 100%, leave it at the default there. And you also have some standard ones like show icon if you don't want to show the icon. Just some aesthetic features here. Show in taskbar. This is kind of an important one because you don't want, if you have option buttons, or excuse me, option forms that show up within here, you don't necessarily want them to show up in the taskbar down here. So you can turn this to false, and if you hit run, you'll see what I mean here. It won't show up down here inside of this taskbar, whereas before it would have its own little application area down here in the taskbar. So we'll go ahead and turn that back to true so it shows in the taskbar. Another one we have here is the size, and you can see the size, the width and the height here. It's an expandable property, and you can modify this here, or you can actually just go into the design environment here and do this yourself. As you can see here, it's automatically changing as we're sizing it, but of course if you need the precision, then you can type it in here manually. We also have the start position. This is a common one. Start position, by default Windows location here is if I hit run, it's going to show up wherever the Windows default location happens to be. In this case, it's up here in the upper left-hand corner. And you can change this to a couple of different properties here. We can change this to center screen, for instance. And now if we hit run, it should show up smack dab in the center of our screen. And there it is. Some other common ones in here is you'll see center parent. And this is, if you have maybe an options form that you're calling from another form, usually what you'll do is you'll make that a modal form, meaning you can't do anything else in this application until you deal with that form. Click OK or cancel, right? Change some settings. And to give you an example here, if we hit help in the Visual Studio environment and go to the about box, you can see if I'm clicking around here, it's yelling at me saying, sorry, you got to do something with the screen. This is a modal form, or otherwise known as a child form of the parent form up here. So basically what this means, center parent, is if you call this form and make it a child of the calling form, then of course it will center within its parent. Another popular one here is manual. And if you have it set to manual, what it's going to do is it's going to look at the location property, and it's going to take the value from here, the x and y coordinates on the screen. So this location property actually is only relevant if your start position here is manual. Alright, so we'll turn this back to center screen for the time being. We also have the text, and the text is of course the caption of the form. Let's just go ahead and, how about turn this, we'll just call this our main application form here. Hit enter, and you can see it changed it right in the environment here. We also have topmost, and the topmost form you can see by default is false here, which just basically means if I click on another form, then this form will go to the back. Well, if we turn this to true, then this form will always stay on top of the other forms. And you can see that here. See, here's our form right now. Now, if I click on the Visual Studio environment, this form should technically go behind it. But since we set it as the topmost form, it actually stays on top. Pretty cool. Could be useful there. All right, let's turn that back to false here. Now, a couple of other standard common ones here is we have the window state. The window state is either going to be normal, minimize, maximize. This is one of those properties that you'll probably only set here at design time. Normal being whatever the size it currently is, and of course we know what minimized and maximized is. Another popular one that I didn't mention up here was cursor. Cursor, you can set, if you drop this down, you can see all your cursors. So this is the actual, what the cursor will be when the mouse is hovered over our form. And this is one that's probably better to set it during runtime, especially, user clicks a button and maybe have a long-running task. Well, when they click the button, you'll want to set the cursor to a wait cursor, the little hourglass, and when the process is done running, you want to flip the cursor back to the normal cursor to give the user, of course, a little visual indication that the process is done running. Other ones here, you can put a background image on your form. You can change the back color if you don't like the standard one. And that's about it as far as the common ones go here that you'll set within the design time. Let's go ahead and I want to show you a couple other things before I show you how to set this at runtime. Like, for instance, what's your startup form? And especially if you have multiple forms in here, your main application form, we want to specify this as a startup form. What you can do is you can actually right-click on your project here and go into Properties. You can also just double-click on the My Project here, which will take you to the same area. And what you'll see here is a startup form. So you can just drop this down, and here's all a list of all your forms in here. And you can see that we have our main form, which is the name that we gave our form. But it actually isn't the actual file name of our form. And I like to marry these up. I like to ensure that the name of my form in code is the same as the name as my actual file here. So what you want to do is click on your form, highlight that code, or highlight the actual name of there, and just change it to main form. There we go. Now they're the same, and now there won't be any confusion when you do something like that. You know, you go into your project and you drop this down for the starter form, and you go, whoa, I don't have a main form in my list. Well, now we do. So now we know for sure which one is our main form. So we'll just go ahead and save our properties here. We'll close out of our property window. So let's go ahead and make a little Windows form here. So what I want to do is take this as our main form. Let's turn this form 2 into our options form. So I'm going to double click on it, go into form 2 here. We're just going to manually set the text here. We'll call this options. Right? We'll turn this form border style up here into, how about a fixed tool window. It's just like an options screen would be here. We'll make it a little smaller. And of course we need to change the name here. So let's go ahead and just call this our options form. And of course we should change the name of the file as well here. So we'll call this our options form. There we go. So we've got our options form itself nice and configured here. We're going to come back to this. Let's go back to our main form for a second. The first thing I want to do is just show you how to manipulate the properties of a form by itself. And then I'll show you how to manipulate one form from another form. So let's just go into the toolbox here and grab a couple of controls. And don't worry about working with these controls yet. We got plenty of videos and we're going to cover most of the controls in here. So I'm just going to do this kind of fast here. There's one control, there's our text box control, and how about a button? There's a button. So we'll drag these 3 controls on here. How about we just go ahead and name our label here, put a caption on the label, and say form caption. There we go. We'll put our text box next to that, stretch it out a little bit, and we'll put our button right next to there. And we'll call this button here, how about go. There we go. I like putting go on buttons. So there we go. Let's just change the name of our text box here to something that's a little more readable in code. How about we call this TXT, or how about TB here for text box? Form caption. All right, and then we'll change the name of our button to BTN Go. There we go. So now all we need to do is, if we double click on our button here, it's going to take us to the click event of our button. Right? So the click event of our button just basically means when the button is clicked, run this code. So what we're going to do is we're going to say me standing for form, dot text, meaning of course this is the text property, the caption of our form, is going to equal, how about TB, what do we name that again? Oh yeah, form caption. Form caption dot text, because of course this is going to be the text inside of the text box. So we're saying set the caption of our form equal to whatever is in the text box, whatever the user types in the text box there. And of course, since this is inside of the click event of our go button, it should automatically happen. So we'll go ahead and open this up here. We'll run the application. Let's type in, how about new application caption. And we'll hit go, and look at that, it changed it to new application caption. So now, whatever we type in here and hit go, it's going to change that on the fly. So that's how you change things at runtime. You can basically refer to the form as me. That's a nice shortcut to refer to and mean this current form. We can also manipulate that another way. For instance, back on our main form here, if we go over here, here's our events. Here's the events of a form. Just like the button has a click event, well, the form has a bunch of events too. And we'll call this the load event, which happens right as the form gets loaded. And so we'll go ahead and click on there, and it'll automatically take us to that code. Another way to get to this area here would just to double click on the form itself, and it would have taken us and automatically put us right inside of the main form load event as well. But now, instead of taking user input, we can just say me.text equals, how about caption from form load event. There we go. And now, if we hit run, instead of the default caption that we placed inside of the property window, which said, of course, main application form, now we get it from the form load event. And of course, the user could override it here too and click on go, and there we are. So a couple of different ways to modify these properties at runtime. Let's go ahead and we're just going to remove this code in the form load event and leave it up to the user there. Of course, the initial caption will be what we originally defined here in the properties window. If we switch back to our properties, here it is, main application form. Alright, so let's take this a step further here and talk about how we can manipulate one form from another form. So let's go ahead and go back to our options form here. And what we're going to do here is just drag a few controls onto here. Again, I'll try to do this as fast as possible here. So I'm going to go ahead and how about first let's drag a label on here. So we'll drag a label on. The next thing we're going to drag on here, I'm going to go ahead and pin our toolbox down for the time being. We're going to drag a track bar on here. There we go. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set the transparency or the opacity of our form and really allow the user to control it. So we're going to allow them to set the opacity in this form, which is going to, of course, affect our main form. So let's change our label here. We'll just call this transparency. And now the other thing we need to do with our track bar here is not only, of course, name it. We'll name it TV. How about we'll name this one opacity. And what we'll do then is we need to set the maximum value to, how about 100, and the minimum value to 0, of course standing for 0 to 100%, and then we'll set the current value to 100. So we're 100% opaque right now, and they would of course have to decrease this to show the transparency of the form. So we're doing that here. Another thing we can do is see these ticks down here. We can actually change this. How about to 10 is our tick frequency. Now there'll only be